one of the big riddles for me is everything's now. And since I've been working with that, I've had some experiences, mostly in dreams, where like one dream I had where the whole universe, I was the universe, and it collapsed and it came back out, and it was a 360-degree view of everything.
Nice.
And since that dream, I mean, there's no way to translate that and explain it, because I knew I was everything. But also, I saw all these almost like shooting stars, but they were slower, and I asked what they were, and it was different timelines, lives. That's what I was told. But also, I'm having these, one experience that I had, the most recent one was, I was watching a video of somebody talking, giving a talk, and at the end of it, it was this contact was made. It wasn't just me, I know it wasn't. It was like consciousness connecting in this incredible way, and it just opened inside of me. And he was sitting right next to me, and he didn't see any of the same thing I did. But I wasn't worried that it was like I'm going nuts or something. But the other thing that's happening is that I feel like the ancient past, like.
You mean now?
Right. I feel like it's here. Like I can taste it almost.
So it's collapsing back on itself, and you realize at one point.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's.
So what's the riddle? The riddle only comes in when you're trying to conceptualize it with a mind that's designed, a brain that's designed to think in terms of opposites, in this or that, this and then that. Linearity. The physical brain, in a sense, works in a linear fashion. Not all of it, but the parts that we consider our understanding part of the mind. It compares concepts and says, this came first and that.
Yeah.
It's either this or that. And so that's where the riddle comes in. That's when it becomes really mysterious and really like unfathomable. And that's great, because that actually opens up the brain a little bit, the mind.
Yeah. Well, also the idea of shifting from one focus identity to another, I'm not clear on yet.
You're not clear on? You're doing it all the time.
Well, okay, so.
You see my hand?
Yeah.
You see my hand? Different angle, right? Different point of view of now.
But is that what this whole shift on a collective level is about as well? It's like a group of people doing the same thing together, kind of. Is that what we're talking about?
Can you be more specific?
Well,
a group of people doing the same thing?
You know, like what Rebecca was asking about earlier, the shift everybody's feeling, this energy shift. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the timelines, different people are going in different timelines as groups, I guess. I'm still, this is kind of something I'm still kind of trying to figure out exactly what is going on.
Good luck, yeah. What will your intuition tell you? What is your imagination? What is consciously informing you when you ask that question in a contemplative sort of state? What are you perceiving?
Well, the one thing that is coming to me now is that this has happened before in some way.
Because all is now, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I keep getting this feeling like this is, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know.
It has happened before.
Right.
Yeah, there's many points of view within your consciousness that have already experienced this.
Yeah. See, this is where I am right now.
Well, there's different ways to explain it. None of them are really accurate in terms of putting it into words. So imagine waves, in a sense. Let's say, imagine the universe having a heart. So it sends out pulses, in a sense, with every heartbeat, right? And as it applies to us now in this particular moment, as I perceive it in space-time, this dimension, the waves or the pulses that we have access to as a collective that we are receiving are the ones that are starting to become faster and faster and faster. So every wave that comes sort of assumes that you've had the previous wave and that you've utilized that in a way that integrates your emotions, that integrates your mind, that integrates all of that. So every wave that comes, and we can feel that as waves of sort of collective murkiness, where everything feels heavy, where everything feels disturbed or more condensed, like everything is pushed into one tiny little corner. Maybe you have that experience, maybe not. But you can feel it both individually as well as you can see it more on a collective scale. So everything gets compressed in a sense. And ideally, released. So, and usually that happens. The wave itself has that impulse. It is like a boom, boom. It is like a heartbeat, almost. Like it has the effect on us of a heartbeat, like a condensation and an expansion, condensation and an expansion. And it goes faster and faster and faster. And so in a sense, we could call that the increase in energy or the acceleration of, in a sense, time. Because with every heartbeat of consciousness, we perceive, in a sense, a different flicker of existence. And the faster that becomes, the more time seems to be in multiple places at the same time. The less linear, the less static, the less slow it becomes. So within the same time-space frame, there's way more waves than there used to be. So with every wave, the amount of waves that are present within each, let's say, second, become more and more and more and more and more. And it doesn't really see our process. It has its own timing. It has its own clock to follow. And so we're in that clock at the moment. So in a sense, it's merciless. It's not without love, but it can't stop for everybody individually at this time. That's what we've come to as a collective. And so it sort of assumes that we're ready to take these accelerated waves and to take each time that we feel murky and that our emotions and our beliefs and our thoughts are forced to the surface, the ones that we haven't looked at in our lives, are forced to the surface and are brought out not only internally, but also usually by the circumstances. And so it sort of assumes that we are able to deal with that, while many of us still are not able to deal with that, which explains why there will be a separation of groups, in a sense, group consciousnesses. Because while it's still all tucked together on what we call planet Earth, it really isn't anymore. It's no longer imprisoned as one planet, as one collective. So everybody's sort of spiking their way with turbulence into their own frame of reference, into their own paradigm, into their own vibrational reality of consciousness. So everything starts to split up, which explains the group consciousnesses that are gradually, but pretty quickly, forming themselves. And they will each experience their own version of reality.
So like some of the experiences I mentioned, like especially this last one with watching a recorded video and having it be so present, I mean, more present than you are. I mean, like more present than this. It was like that connected. And it feels like it's like a hole in the veil of this, what we've agreed on so far is what, so that's kind of how I feel like it's sort of doing this. Okay.
So you're becoming a tear in the veil.
Right. Okay.
And what happens when you're in an airplane and there's a hole in the side of the plane?
Well, it can be bad.
No, it's good in this
out,
sense.
Yeah.
It gets sucked out.
Right. Okay.
And the people around you tend to get sucked out a little more too. So we're all, in a sense, becoming more and more vortexes of our own realization. And the veil is exactly what is disappearing for everyone, but not everybody is, in that sense, able to cope with that acceleration. And so we will all choose our own reality vibrationally, some unconsciously, some consciously. None without guidance, none without love, but all in their own way. And so it's good that you're aware of this, so that you can take these moments and these waves as they come, and as they stir up some shit, you are more able to let it be, to surrender to it, to give into that process, to let go of the things that come up for you, to see them, to integrate them, and to let them be there, to relax. Because through that process of relaxation, of more and more, embodying it and relaxing, you're becoming more of what is actually your, in a sense, your soul's preferred reality. So you're becoming a tear in the veil of the illusion of the collective. And,
Thank you.
Thank you.